Okay. So I talked about Dave Chappelle a little while ago, and when I was criticizing some of the bad humor and transphobia in his last stand-up, I kind of had to temper what I was saying with the acknowledgement that Dave Chappelle is a really funny guy, and I legitimately do think that humor is uh something of a defense that you can employ when you make problematic statements. If you're gonna say something shitty, at least make it funny. Okay, I do believe that. Call me a edgelord, whatever. I believe it. But I don't have to reserve any of my behavior or any of my criticisms here because this is the cringiest thing that I have ever seen in my entire life. Okay? So, and I'm not kidding you here. Dave Chappelle, unprompted, stopped at his former high school to question teenagers as to why they didn't like him because he was problematic. Dave Chappelle. Listen, this is a quote from the full article. This is just excerpts from the article, okay? Here's a quote. He could tell we were nervous, said one of the students we spoke with. It was a huge power imbalance of this grown man and his camera crew and these 14 to 18-year-olds without their phones, just high school kids. Students had to lock their phones in special pouches beforehand to prevent recordings. That's right. He took their phones so that he would have complete control over any narrative to come out from it. This is honestly so absurd that it's difficult for me to even reconcile with my belief that Dave Chappelle has not completely lost the plot, which I might have to review after this. He went to a high school to challenge high schoolers when he has a camera crew there and they had their phones taken away. This is honestly worse than what Ben Shapiro does. Ben Shapiro is famous for getting snippy little debate quotes off with college students, and at least there they're allowed to keep their phones so he can't edit his way around it. Dave Chappelle has so little faith in his ability to defend himself that he seeks out a high school. Can you imagine? Why? What? And I know what he's doing here. The goal of Dave Chappelle here is to come off like this strong, stable adult, while the kids are like these triggered Zoomer snowflakes. Listen to these excerpts from this. This is insane. He made a surprise. These are just little bits. Uh, um, the self-proclaimed goat hoped to smooth things over amid the backlash over his jokes about trans people. He was in for a surprise of his own. About 580 students packed into the auditorium. With a camera crew in tow, Chappelle took to the stage with a raucous reception of cheers and some boos, and the hour-long session went south from there, we're told. During a Q&A session, one student stepped to the mic and called Chappelle a, quote, bigot, adding, I'm 16 and I think you're childish. You handled it like a child. From the mouth of babes comes wisdom, it seems. According to two students present, the comments were confirmed by Chappelle's spokesperson, Carla Sims, because again, none of the students were allowed to record. Chappelle responded, as recalled the next day by the students, my friend, with all due respect, I don't believe you can make one of the decisions I have to make on a given day. What a cope response. Hey, I think you're behaving like a child. You couldn't do what I do. Was he drunk? What a what a pussy. He's a fucking comedian. What? In response to another antagonistic question, Chappelle roughly told the student body, keep in mind these aren't direct quotes because this is being retold by other people later. I'm better than every instrumentalist artist, no matter what art you do in this school right now. I'm better than all of you. I'm sure that will change. I'm sure you'll be household names soon. I bet these last two sentences were spoken sarcastically. I just have a feeling that's the case. Jesus, can you imagine? Why don't you like my comedy? I tell the funny jokes. You couldn't do what I do. I'm better than all of you. Is this inebriation? Seriously, this is soy. This is incredibly cringe. You seek out the weakest audience in the world. The weakest audience there is. Um and you still can't let them record it, and you still come off acting like that. The students recalled that another student in the audience shouted at him, "Your comedy kills." Damn, these are some woke kids. And Chappelle shot back, "N-words are killed every day." He then asked, "The media's not here, right?" You, it's like, I said this before when I talked about his comedy, but he seems to think there's something incompatible between being a progressive and being anti-racism. Like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, okay, so does he think it's okay that black people are killed every day? If he's going to draw an equivalence between his comedy and systemic racism, then that's bad. Like, what? See, how is he losing to high schoolers here? He's losing this. One disturbed parent, the two students we spoke to declined to go on the record out of fear from retribution at the school. Yeah, of course, obviously. Especially if their names get published, all the fucking fans. The father of one of the students, who also declined to speak publicly to protect the identity of his daughter, said, "As a parent, I have to say I have a real problem. He was being dead serious and using the N-word on the record. What kind of judgment is the school showing to allow that?" Sims, the Chappelle spokesperson, responded, "They're complaining he's talked and said the N-word. If anything, Dave is putting the school on the map." What? Chappelle has raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for Duke Ellington and brought A-list celebrities such as Bradley Cooper and Chris Tucker to its campus. So, like, this is the spokesperson, too. This isn't even Dave Chappelle being his usual irreverent. This is like, well, we've given you money. You should be grateful for us. Jesus fuck. Yeah, I'm surprised Chappelle didn't wander on down to like a kindergarten class, like, he's like, what do you woke millennials hate about my comedy? Haha, trans women are men. And then one of the kindergartners shits themselves, and Chappelle gets really angry and throws a chair at them. Something like that. I don't know. The two students who spoke to Playbook said they were afraid to speak up at the assembly because Chappelle often laughed at students' questions or responded with jokes. If he's going to respond with jokes or laugh at their questions, why the fuck did he even do this? Like, what is his goal here? It's just to get, like, because they had their camera crew there, he's going to compile this into some sort of SJW's owned compilation, some sort of ego-stroking Joker moment where he is, braving the spotlights of the school auditorium while he bullies children. Um, at one point, after a student left the assembly room, Chappelle singled her out by saying, "Of course she left early." Nice. According to the student, Chappelle seemed to soften up as he wound down. Turning to the camera, he spoke out against death threats some students have received since protesting him. Okay. The school has responded by increasing security and barring students from leaving campus for lunch. Well, do you think you might be the root of this a little bit, possibly? His whole tone changed. He said, "This is my family, and whether they know it or not, I love these kids. I don't want to hear about any threats to these kids. These kids don't deserve that." Is this just like some sort of narcissistic power trip? This really sounds like a drunk, sociopathic wine mom who alternates between punching down at her children and adoringly, affectionately appreciating them so they have to reciprocate or they'll feel bad. Like, really weird shit. "He was really kind," the student added. "If only he'd acted that way the whole time. There was no reason to be mean to us. He was just laughing at kids." Spectacular stuff here. These were just some segments from the whole damn thing. I could read out the whole article out loud. The school postponed an event to name its theater after him amid concern about student reactions. He said these kids deserve an F for forgiveness, Sims said, "but give them space to grow." What forgiveness? What what forgiveness? Were you coming here for forgiveness? What did you do to indicate that? What did you plead for it? How would you even, how do they know? These kids are probably there, like, getting insulted by this grown-ass man, and they're thinking, "Well, he just came here to be a cunt." And then later he's like, "Well, they didn't forgive me, but hopefully they reflect in their behavior." They're like, what? When did you suggest you want forgiveness? What? No, he's saying the kid should be forgiven by his fans. Uh, is that the implication? I don't think anything about this paragraph suggests they're referring to the kids who are sending death threats to the other kids. Give them space to grow. They're going to say things that are immature. I think Sims is referring to the kids in the auditorium. It's bad either way. I'm not. Look, this is incredibly cringe. Can we just call this what it is? Look, we can act like, high horse ivory tower types and denounce it for its morally bad this, that, or the other, but like, holy shit. Chappelle is supposed to be the picture of like principled when he needs to be, irreverent at all other times, like, you know, devil couldn't care, edgy comedy. And absolutely none of that is reflected in finding a bunch of high schoolers to hold as a captive audience so you can ridicule them for not immediately and unconditionally loving you. It's actually more malicious than any like Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder type shit I've seen. Ben Shapiro is relatively innocuous. He schedules an event at a college which nobody is obligated to attend. They're all adults at the college. They can bring their phones. Steven Crowder just sits in a desk somewhere outside. Dave Chappelle had to corral a bunch of babies together into a baby pen and beg them for forgiveness in his own unique way by being mean to them. Um, absolutely psychotic shit. Absolutely psychotic shit, seriously. Andrew Yang defending him? Why would you die on this hill, man? Oh, God. Here we go. The press hit job on his visiting his high school is awful. Successful alum who fundraises for school returns, speaks to students, gives everyone a free meal. Oh, yeah. That was the issue, Andrew Yang. That he returned, spoke to people, and gave people a free Thanksgiving meal. Clearly, that's the issue people are taking with this. What a disingenuous fuck. Andrew Yang is just trying to appeal to the century anti-SJW independent crowd who likes Chappelle but isn't fully Republican or Democrat. Like, geez, like that's clearly not the thing that people got angry with him over. Oh yeah, here's him shilling. And he's sucking up to like celebrity endorsements. Yeah, really disgusting behavior. Extremely cringe. I don't know. Uh, it's just so pathetic. I don't know. I don't know what else to say other than it's brain cucked. Like Dave Chappelle's brain is cucked. Like the brain has a brain wife and the brain gets off on watching someone else fuck the brain wife. I don't know what else to say. It's just displays such a remarkable lack of emotional maturity. Well, anyway. Um I thought Yang was trying to be nonpartisan. No, of course not. That's why he goes on Tucker Carlson. It's not about being nonpartisan. It's about trying to bait people over from the left to the center. Anyway. That's enough. This goober behavior is not appreciated.